about $1 million, I ain't get it yet. Niggas cat, we be spending like a ceiling fan. On the block, get your mans, nigga had it. Toolie with me, I ain't lacking, and it's been no jack. Holding 30 in the clip, bitch, we in it. My little brother got a 50, try get busy, yeah. Ain't with the diss, and I'ma pull up, try get jiggy, yeah.
What it do, what's good? Welcome back to another episode of the PNC podcast. I'm your host, Cam, and on this episode, I have another special guest with me. Tell the people who you are.
I'm Lynn Green. I'm Cameron's aunt.
So how you feeling, auntie? How you feeling?
I'm doing well. What about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Well, that's good.
I know you couldn't wait to do this interview, this podcast. So it's a long awaited, but I'm glad it's here, you know. So you doing good? You doing good?
Oh, yeah.
You excited?
Dude. I'm very excited.
You excited?
You know, I mean, I'm on the mic. I feel like a star.
Well, check it. So as you all know, as a tradition, I actually forgot to do this with my sister last episode, but I remembered this time. As a tradition, you see that red cup right there?
I do.
So go ahead, take a swig of that.
Okay.
Every guest on the PNC podcast has to take a shot. So
Yeah, I took that.
tastes like juice. Cool.
Good juice.
Cool.
Good juice.
Okay, so Lynn. So what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I am a full-time federal worker.
Federal worker. So how is it working in the federal government?
Well, I've been in the government for almost 39 years, and it's had its ups and downs, but for the most part, it's been a good ride for me.
Okay,
Yes,
so-
I'm nearing retirement, so, I mean, it's a definitely good ride for me.
So overall, you like working there?
Oh, yeah, great.
You like
I
it or you love
started in
working
the
there?
government. I'm sorry, what's
No,
that?
I say you like it or you love it.
I love it, actually.
All
I
right,
mean,
that's good.
I spent, most of my time in the government since I was the age of 16, so, I mean,
Oh.
that's a long time.
Okay. So what influenced your decision in working in that career field and choosing that path?
Well, being a high school student, we had a program called COE, which is a Cooperative Office Experience Program. So basically, I took the civil service test back then. For those who don't know, civil service test is something you had to pass to enter into the government. So I took the civil service test, passed it, and then I actually got an interview with NASA, Goddard Space Flight Center, was hired at NASA, and that's where my career started. That's where my federal government career started.
Okay, so you already knew you was going to do it at an early age.
Oh, yeah, 16, yeah. 12th
that's cool,
grade,
that's
it was
cool.
11th year going into the 12th grade year, yes.
Did you have any other aspirations going up? Like, was there another career field that you was interested in before?
Well,
before
funny
that?
you ask, because I wanted to be an accountant.
Oh, for
I
real?
mean, thinking that I took the career path to just go directly into the workforce, but if I was going straight into college, I was going to, work on towards getting my degree in finance, which would be trying to be an accountant.
Okay. So, for those of y'all who don't know, she's definitely a numbers person. Like, she's real good with numbers. So, accountant, yes, definitely, for sure. Okay, so, for somebody who's young, like myself or younger, or, what advice would you give them when it comes to picking what career field fits them, and, like, what motivational words would you have for them?
Well, I would say try to go into a field that you like or love, actually. You don't want to just pick a job because, I'm making good money, You want to be able to say that this is something you can establish a career. I mean, for me, coming into the government, I started at a very young age. So basically, for every position that I had, I was trained. So if my supervisor was like, hey, Lynn, I need you to be, work on this, learn this, master this, that's kind of what I did to grow in the government. But for you, I would say, find something that interests you. Don't just take on a job just because you just need a job, because as you get older, you start thinking about your path. Like, I don't want to spend 10 years in a job that I really don't like. So think about that, and then go into a field that you're interested in. Like if you want to get into finance, or if you want to get into broadcasting, or whatever the case may be, just make sure it's something that you want to do. Because a lot of times people do these jobs and they don't want to be in the job, but they was like, okay, I'm bringing home some bacon, and that's about it. It's like they're not thinking about longevity. They're not thinking about what I can do for the future. I'm planning to buy a house. I mean, I got to set a path for me that I can reach those goals. So that's what you need to do. Figure out something that you want to do and love it. Don't just like it. Love the job.
That's fact. I know a lot of people, they definitely take on career paths that they're unhappy with, and like you said, for the money, it's like it's just for the money. They don't want to do it. They live the rest of their life miserable just to make ends meet instead of actually doing what they love. I know growing up, trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, I always learned, like, I gotta do what I love, do what I enjoy doing, because otherwise I'm gonna just it's not gonna feel like I'm living for myself. It's gonna feel like I'm living for society or living for somebody else, not myself. So I feel like it's imperative that you even and I'm pretty young, but I can give y'all some sauce too. But like,
Okay.
but like always do with your passion, follow your passion. Government working and dealing with numbers and stuff, that's your passion. You followed it, so like that's valid. That's valid. I know not too many people get a chance to do that, so that's good. You was able to. You did what you love. That's good. That's good. Okay. So that's good. Any? Can you tell me a time where there was ever like in a super upside or a super downside working in a career field?
I've had my challenges. You think about it. I came into the government at the age of 16. So, I mean, I was in offices where, oh my gosh, I had management that, figured, okay, she's young, give her everything, give her the stuff they don't want to do. So, you got your ups and your downs. But I mean, mainly in all my years of government, it's been more than up. So I'll have to say I had some pretty decent managers. So, you train well under them. They want you to be into a certain position. They train you up so you can apply for a job. So you can apply for that position when it becomes open. So I don't have too much of a downside. I just think that, my path, I paved my way. So I pretty much think that I've done well for where I am today and nearing the end of my career. So I think that, like I said, I don't know. The retirement is ahead of me. Don't know when I'll plan to retire, but I do know that spending 39 years of service is a blessing. So
that's good. Definitely. I know some people, they probably spend 39 years doing who knows. So
yes,
that's good. So aside from your career path growing up, take me down memory lane of some of your proudest moments growing up as a adolescent.
Wow. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, so we definitely got stories, first of all, let me just say this. It's 3, we would call it pretty much the Brady Bunch, because it was 3 boys, 3 girls, and I pretty much, being the youngest, kind of was closer to my middle sister, who's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Karen. So basically, she was my sidekick. I mean, everywhere I went, she was like, hey, Lynn, what you doing today? Let's go for a ride. But as a child, it was the same situation. We were in the neighborhood, the hopscotch, the jump rope, the riding the bikes, the skates. So we did all of those things growing up. And with my older siblings, they were there, but for the most part, they were older. So, they just, like I had next to my oldest brother, he was kind of the one that, he worked, but he'd leave us $1 or $2 on the table when he would go off to work saying, hey, this is for the ice cream truck. So pretty much. And then my sister, Wendy, she was kind of the, I'm going to be in the house watching the stories while me and my sister Karen out there raking leaves, because my father then made us wake up in the morning to go rake some leaves or something in the yard. But for the most part, I think we had a pretty good childhood growing up. We all got along. There was no riffraff between the 6 of us, but we just made it work. We made it work. My mother took care of 6 kids, my mother and father, and that's kind of what derived from my past up until now.
That's good. Yeah, 6 is definitely a bunch. She actually said something similar to the last episode about the youngest in the middle. How me and Kiana were more so the closest ones versus me and Keith and Kiana and Keith. So that's fact. So for the siblings out there with a lot of siblings, or even if it's a small bunch of y'all, like the middle child, baby, it's like, I don't know. It's like some type of, I don't know.
It's the gravitate. Okay, you gravitate to the one that's closest to you. And Karen was 2 years older than me, so we gravitated. Even up until her passing, she was always the one. If my husband couldn't go, I'll ride with you. We'd be going out of town. She wouldn't even tell her daughter she was taking the granddaughter. She'd be like, oh, we packing up the car. We just going. And Kim like, where you taking my child to? But for the most part, that's kind of what we did. We were just road warriors, just out there. She was just there for all my children. She was my hair braider. She would do my hair. So she did a lot of things for us growing up that I didn't have to do, but always would tell me, you got 3 daughters. How you don't know how to do no hair? Not that I didn't know how to do hair, people. Okay, it was the fact. It was the fact that I would just do ponytails. She was the braider. I didn't know how to cornrow. Yes, I'm gonna admit that today in 2022, I still don't know how to braid. Okay, I don't know how to do no cornrows. Okay.
But yeah, definitely. Long live my mom. You know, I wear around my neck. They was like she said, it was sidekicks everywhere we went.
Yes.
It was together. You already know, cousins too, and all that. Like it was definitely that. So yeah. So do you feel like, I mean, it kind of sounds like you already answered this next question I'm about to ask you, but I'm gonna reiterate it for you. So like I said, once again, back to your younger years, up until now, do you think that you fulfill most of your aspirations?
I do. I mean, one of my aspirations is I did want to go off to college, but my career path back then, I was working part-time as a federal worker at NASA when I first started in the government. So I was kind of torn between, do I go into a career? I mean, do I just go into, establishing a career, or do I go to college? And it's never too late to go to college. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't take courses at PG. I did take a couple of courses at PG, but after you start making money, I'm not going to lie, the paycheck started coming in. I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to get the on-the-job training. And that's what I did to get to where I am today. Everything was about on-the-job training. If my supervisor wanted me to learn something, it was, hey, Lynn, take this on. We want you to learn this. And that's kind of how I grew in the government. So, whatever your passion is, as I told you before, whether it is to go to school full time, whether it's just to go into the workforce, we have choices. So am I upset about the choice that I made to just go into the career force versus to go, get my degree in college? I mean, I'm not going to say that that I'm like highly disturbed by the fact that I didn't, pursue that dream, but never too late. Who knows what I plan to do? But at the same token, I do know that, I've had a good ride in my 39 years in the government. So I'm not going to be mad about that. I've done well.
That's good. It don't matter the career path, as long as you're happy at the end of the day. What would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self, do what you want to do. Like, choose your path wisely. Do not just assume that you're doing it for anybody but yourself. You got the naysayers out there. You have people that'll say, oh, you sure you want to do that? Oh, you sure? I mean, you'll get that person that will try to persuade you in a direction that you might not want to go. So you just have to listen to your inner self. Don't be like listening to, because I'm telling you, you can have 5 people giving you 5 different opinions. Listen to what you think your path is. I mean, I feel like, even as I was younger, my mom basically, pushed that, yeah, you working now. You need to continue to work. Not that she deterred me from going to college, but the push was, you need to, you're working now. You need to just continue to work. So, but I mean, I'm not upset about, taking the other route. Like I said, I've done well. And, for those who pursued their dreams, went on and got their degrees, I'm happy for that person. I'm not going to take anything away from a person who decided to go to school first and then establish their career later. Because, I mean, nowadays, these jobs, you do need to have the 3, 4, 5 degrees. I mean, exactly. I mean, associate's degree is basically graduating from high school. Okay. I mean, really, I'm not going to knock it, but if you look at some of these applications, I mean, God, secretarial positions ask you to have a bachelor's. So it's just it's a different time than when we was coming along. I mean, the credentials are different. It's harder now. So
I feel like because of that, that's what sparked the rise of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So I feel like that's honestly part of the reason, because I know growing up, I know my mom used to always say I wanted to go to Harvard or something like that, right?
Yes, Cameron, we thought that about you.
Right. So, but like growing up, I feel like in a way, like not saying that I wasn't thinking for myself or anything like that. Not saying that I felt forced enough like that. But as I grew up, I kind of grew up to my own person. So like, of course, I had the idea of like, I want to go to school straight after high school, but then like different influences, not people, but just like researching, just thinking for myself, kind of was like, I want to, take a break. I go to school. I did actually go to school, like, briefly for a semester, but then I took a break, and I ultimately chose to, like, go to work route because I wanted money. And then for the past, since, like, 2020, I pursued the entrepreneur route. I also working other jobs, too. But I feel like just at this age that I am, I'm only 21, I'm kind of like still, I mean, nobody ever knows their true calling until it just happens. So I feel like just following and figuring out and just discovering who you are and discovering what you enjoy doing. So either way, it's kind of like, yeah, it's definitely.
Well, now I have a question for you. Do you feel like you should have just went away to school, just pursued that dream? I know we've had conversations. We actually took the visit out to Virginia Wesleyan. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you should have went on that path, or do you regret that you didn't take that path?
Not so much regret. Sometimes I think like, what if I went straight to college right after high school? I remember there was a time I thought about going to the military. I was like, what if I went to the military? It's like I had different things, like different paths I wanted to take, and I just didn't figure it out. Sometimes I'm like, okay, like you say, it's never too late to pursue school. It's people that are probably older than you, probably taking classes in college. So I honestly do plan on going, but I feel like I always told myself, when I'm mentally ready to pursue that, when I know I'm going to like lock in and dive in and stay committed to, getting my degree, then I'll do that. But at the time when I was in school, it's like school was never hard for me. I could always commit and, apply myself. It just, I was mentally out of it when I was going. I was just like, I don't know if this is for me, that I'm putting money in my own pocket. I'm taking money out of my own pocket to pay that off. And I'm like, if this is not something I'm not mentally ready to do, I'm not about to put myself through it until I know I'm ready. So, I don't regret it, because I know I still got time. And
you do.
So
have
it's
time.
like, I feel like pursuing the entrepreneur route, like doing YouTube and stuff like that, I feel like that's who knows where that could go,
Exactly. You might meet Tyler Perry.
Yeah, like doing podcasts and doing other type of content might open doors for other opportunities. So I'm just kind of like just taking stuff one step at a time, honestly. So that's kind of, I try not to dwell too much, because once you dwell on past stuff, it kind of deteriorates and kind of pulls you back. So,
and nothing is wrong with that. You're still young. You still have a whole life ahead of you. So hey, take your time.
Yeah. So let's talk about marriage.
Oh Lord, he wants to talk about marriage.
Let's
okay,
talk about
let's
marriage.
go. Let's go.
So how long have you and Uncle Manny's been married?
Well, we've been married going on 22 years in July of this year. So July 29th will be our 22nd anniversary.
All right. Okay. That's good. So, a cool question. So, matter of fact, how y'all meet? Let's look into that. How y'all meet? That's something I never knew. How y'all meet?
It's funny because Manny and I went to junior high school together. So,
so high school
we're talking 13. We were 13 years old. 13, 14 years old. So we were actually in middle school together. And then when we went off to the high school, I went to Fairmont Heights and he went to Bladensburg. So we kind of split from that point until the summer. We probably talked over the summer, and then we just, lost communication because he was doing his thing and I was doing my thing in high school. So yes.
Okay. So do you feel that marriage is necessary for a relationship to work out in the long run? What is your opinion on, do you feel like it's a necessity? Do you feel like it needs to happen, or
well,
how do you feel about
it? Some people do not ever feel like they want to get married. They feel like having a partnership is better than the commitment. I mean, you can have a partnership and be committed, but taking on a person's last name is just a whole nother step here. So I, for one, wanted to get married. I knew, growing up, I'm going to get married one day. So I'm not going to smash anybody's dream who says, I just want a partnership. I don't ever want to get married, because there are relationships that work just based on the two of them just being in a committed relationship as partners versus taking on the commitment and getting the actual piece of paper to say that, I do, and they got that marriage certificate. So, for me, there's no regrets for me getting married. Been married 22 years, happily married, and that's kind of it. I don't regret, getting married, because that's something I wanted to do. If I didn't want to get married, then certainly I wouldn't have been married. It'd been like, okay, I'm just going to play a dating game or something, but I mean, the world is different today. You don't want to play the dating game. You want to commit to a person and just be, monogamous. You want to be in that relationship with that person. You don't want to be out there spreading wings. You know, spreading wings, people. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to commit to that one person. You know, make a life with that one person.
I know in today's society, today's generation, it's rare that you see like people getting married. I know it's a lot of people don't really follow tradition.
Yep.
So I know me personally, I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on marriage. So right, so me and my sister, we, even though I know I'm young, but even people get married younger than me and even like around my age, but so me and my sister, we talk about like the whole marriage thing and stuff like that. And I guess the older you get, the more I guess it kind of crosses your mind. Like I wonder who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, spend the rest of my days with. So of course, when you're younger, you're like, oh, I want to have a wife and kids, a dog, and live in a house, blah, blah, blah. That sounds good, right? That's the American dream. But growing up, I'm kind of like, that's honestly not like a main priority for me in my lifetime. And the reason for that is I just see the stress and I guess some of it's because of the media. I guess the negativity that you see, like look at Kanye and Kim, look at Dr. Dre and his wife, the $100 million settlement that she got. Like, you see so much negative, so that probably influenced my decision to not really want to pursue that, because I already know if that ever would have happened, I'm getting the prenup.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to have, like, say you make it big and say you get married and your wife is some part ownership, but you don't expect to, when you get married, you don't expect to get a divorce or anything like that.
Exactly.
But you never know, things can happen. I feel like it's possible that you could wake up one day and just be like, I don't want to do this no more. I feel like that happens. So,
it does happen. I'm not going to lie. You've heard stories about people being married for years and then all of a sudden, like, what happened? Why did they split? You just never know. You don't know why two people grow apart. It's the two people in that marriage are the two people that people can tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an outsider looking in, of course you'd be like, I wonder what happened, because they looked like they was functionable. They was getting through. But again, you have to think about marriages. You got to allow the marriage to stay between the two people married. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when you let the outsiders in, that's where the problems start. Because, you might be wanting to tell, you might think you got that bestie or somebody you want to tell your story to, but that might backfire. You just have to be careful, because if you keep your marriage private like it's supposed to be and not let the outside influences get to you, perhaps there may be some people that still should be married, but letting other people inside, letting people hear, in that ear, then it's like, oh my gosh, like, or maybe seeing that the friend ain't married and like, oh God, they get to go on, sure, they doing all of this, and then you regretting that you done got married, because you're like, they take trips, she's living that single life, you know what I mean? But are you going to be happy living the single life? Like, I don't want to say that you should never experience marriage. I don't want to look at the stars and say, Kanye and Kim didn't work out, Dr. Dre didn't work out. I don't want, because one they money, they about the dollar. They both got money. I don't know. Money is the root to evil too. They say money is the root to evil. I mean, you want to make money, but you don't want to feel like, as soon as you get married, you got this prenup going on, and I'm just, if it don't work, I'm just going to, she ain't going to get my money, because my money is my money, you know what I mean? Because when you go into a marriage, you go into the marriage with the intent to be as one.
Right, exactly.
The Bible says as one, the two become one. So if you already go into a marriage with the mindset, mine is mine, his is his, how is that going to work?
Yeah. I feel like it's more so just taking precaution. Like, to defend me saying that, like, me personally, it's more so to take precaution, because I live in a mindset where you never know.
Exactly.
I live like that all the time. You never know. And I'm not saying, like, of course, if I marry somebody, I have the intentions to, like, stay with them forever. That's gonna be the love of my life. But like I said earlier, like, anything can happen. Infidelities, I just not working no more.
Oh, exactly.
Like, things like that. So it's like you just never know, and that's probably one of the top portrayals ever. So it just, I don't know. So I mean, even aside from the stars, like, even people who, regular civilians like me and you, who have money or whatever, they have like a money hungry, a person who you divorce and trying to get your bag or whatever from you and stuff like that. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure that mindset will change, because you never know. But that's kind of like where I'm at, because it's like, I feel like also another thing is, I know a lot of people can relate to me. Like, I enjoy my private time, right?
And nothing's wrong with that.
And I feel like I enjoy it too much, to the point where it's like committing and being in that space all the time. probably annoying me. But that's how I feel right now. So it could change. But that's why I kind of don't. That's not really main priority. My thing is living the bachelor life and just
And nothing's wrong with
just
that.
seeing maybe tying a knot. But until then, like I don't know. It just
There is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with you wanting to live that bachelor life. Be single for a while. You're right. You're young. You got a lot of years ahead of you.
Yeah.
I ain't get married till I was in my 30s.
But I know it's some people out there that probably that's their mind is fixated on that. I know that for a fact. I've met people personally whose mind is on that, and I feel like they got to get out of that mindset. I don't really like me. I don't really care to date, like to have a girlfriend, because it's like I'm 21. What I want to be tied down right now for?
Exactly. It's
like,
nothing wrong with going out. It's nothing wrong with just,
nothing's wrong with
hey,
that.
let's
But like
go
I don't
hit a
want to
movie.
be tied down. Like I told one of my friends this the other day. So these past few months, I done been out of town with my friends and stuff like that, and it's plentiful women out there, right? And I told him, I said, imagine if I had a girlfriend. Now, I'm not a cheater or nothing, but imagine if I had a girlfriend and you see all these people around, and let's say I'm out with my friends. That's temptation. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to feed into that temptation, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to have that mindset till I'm like, it's like.
Exactly.
Until I know I'm mentally, same thing with school, until I know I'm mentally ready to lock in for something like that, I feel like it's best that I just kind of have just the single life or whatever. I feel like everybody needs to experience that for a long while before they even know what they want. Because a lot of people don't even know what they want. They get into a relationship not even knowing what they want for real. So it's like that way when they get into a relationship, they're like, wow, I don't like this, I don't like that. Are they even for me?
Right.
So it's like,
well, you're no
don't know.
rush. You're like I said, you're young. There's no rush to figure out when you want to commit. Because when you're ready to commit, you're gonna know when you're ready to commit. You meet that person. You feel like you can live your rest of your life with this person, you're going to commit at some point. You're going to say, you know what, let me make this person an honest woman. Like, because in her head, she's probably thinking, I wonder if he's ever going to ask me to marry him. Because, as time get to ticking, girls they're impatient. Like, we've been married. We've been dating for 6 years. How long is it going to take?
I'm not going to lie. I feel like if you dated for 6 years, you should know if
Exactly.
they're the one. You should know
but
6
you do
years.
hear those stories. You hear people that say they've been dating 4 or 5 years. I don't think it takes 4 or 5 years for you to decide if that's who you want to be with.
Yeah,
you know?
I feel like within that first year and a half, maybe 2.
You should
kind
of know. I mean, you should kind of gauge. Can I be with this person? You should already almost know the inside outs of what makes her tick, what makes you tick, what y'all can't agree on. It's just things that you will work through in a relationship to get you to that point. But by all means, take your time. There is no rush. Do you? That's what I'm gonna say. Do you? Okay.
Nah, that's facts. So, what's the best advice you can give to any newlyweds or newly engaged couples?
Communication. You definitely have to communicate. When you start shutting down, nobody wants to talk about what's bothering them. Then that becomes a problem, because then if you can't talk to each other, and either wifey goes off and talks to a girlfriend to get the wrong advice, or vice versa, hubby goes off and talk to his buddies because he think he can get some good advice, what you think gonna happen? Then everything starts to shift, and then you go, wait a minute, he acting a little different, she acting a little different, because you didn't let somebody else in. You can't let nobody else in your marriage. You definitely have to communicate and figure out what's going on in the marriage. Not to say that as soon as you run into a problem in the marriage that you're ready to throw in the paper and say, I can't do this, here's the towel, I can't do this no more. But you do have to, soon as you feel like it becomes a problem, you have to have a conversation. You gotta communicate always, not just when there becomes a problem. Yeah, I gotta come home from work. How's your day?
That reassurance.
How's everything going?
Reassurance.
Just have that conversation, because you don't want it to be that they ain't even talking. He downstairs doing this thing, she up her room doing her thing, and then you know what I mean, everybody go to sleep and nobody in there had a conversation. So you got to communicate.
A simple conversation would definitely
fix
key.
It. Yes.
And comprehension too. Communication with comprehension, because you could tell, because people get confused, like talking to you and talking at you confused.
Exactly. Two different things.
So it's like you can communicate, but are you communicating well? Are you hearing? Are you listening? Or are you just hearing me?
Exactly.
So it's like that's another thing. I feel like that goes hand in hand with like regular relationships, marriage, anything, any type of couple. I feel like that's definitely key things
that's
to
a good
like
point.
pay attention to. So
a good point.
So yeah. So definitely that. So Miss Green.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm about to do.
What he about to do, y'all?
Oh, so you don't know what this mean when I do this?
I think I know, but we're gonna let you tell it.
Lynn, welcome to the hot seat.
Oh gosh. Oh, what is the hot seat, Cam?
So I know you've tuned in a few videos, but I'm just gonna reiterate it, and especially if people, this is y'all first time seeing this channel, and you see this video. The hot seat, I'll ask my guests a series of 3 questions. Each question might get a little spicier, gonna get harder, you know. The first question, if you refuse to answer, you'll take 1 shot. The second question, if you refuse to answer, you'll take 2 shots.
Man, I might be drunk going out of here.
And the third question, if you refuse to answer, it'll take 3 shots. Now, I always tell y'all don't have to answer the question, but you know what you have to do if you don't.
Gotta take that shot.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hot seat question number 1, y'all. Have you ever got caught doing the deed? I had to keep it PG.
Have I ever got caught doing the deed? I won't say got caught doing the deed, but maybe a little kissing or something. But you know what I mean? Foggy windows. But no, none of that. No, okay, absolutely not.
Okay. Cool. Thought I was gonna get her. Okay. Question number 2. You ready? So that's a pass.
All right.
Question number 2. You have 3 daughters.
I do.
My cousins. They're gonna watch this, I'm sure. If Tiara, Tishawn, and Tanaya were hanging off of a cliff, who would you save first?
My. I guess we all going off the cliff together. Because, I mean, you can't say one and not say the other 2. We all just going to go. I mean,
I had a feeling you'd say that.
Yeah. That would be wrong for me to save one of my 3 children. We just all going off the cliff together.
Y'all let me know if that was a valid answer.
Take a dive.
Y'all let me know if that was a valid answer. I'll consider that a pass. I had a feeling you was going to say that. That was a valid answer, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's another pass. Okay. Third and final question.
Oh, God. What is this?
You say you've been married for how long again?
Going on 22 years.
Okay, so in those 22 years of marriage, has divorce ever crossed your mind?
No, I can't say it has. Now, I ain't gonna say that it was easy the whole 22 years. So I will not sit here and tell you, but I won't say that we ever sit there and said, let's divorce because we just can't make it work. I mean, marriage takes work. So you do have to understand that marriage takes work. So no, divorce is not a thing that you just throw out there lightly, you know. So I think that we've had our moments where I was like, oh gosh, what in the world was I thinking? I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I said what was I thinking, but you know, here we are 22 years in, so what can I say?
Yeah,
it's
that's
working.
crazy. 22 years is definitely a blessing. That's great. That's great. That is. Yeah. A lot of people don't make it that far, so that's great. So, dang, I really thought I was going to stump you with one of these.
He really thought he was going to make me take that shot.
Dang, it's like the third person to pass? Okay. So.
Gotta have harder questions, I guess.
You know what? For the next guest, whoever the next guest is, you gonna get it. You gonna get it. So, yes. Looks like that's a pass, y'all. So give it up for. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the video. You want to shout anybody out? Shout anything out? Anything you want to say?
Well, everyone, hey, why don't you chime in and view, subscribe to Cameron's channel. I'll let him tell that name again because I get a little twisted.
All right, so that's all for this episode of the PNC podcast. I'm your host, Cam.
And I'm Lynn Green, Cam's aunt.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe once again. We have another video dropping as well, so stay tuned for that. And tune in for episode 7. Peace.
Bye.
Could only dream about $1 million, I ain't get it yet. Niggas cat, we be spending like a ceiling fan. On the block, get your mans, nigga had it hat. Toolie with me, I ain't lacking, and it's been no jack. Holding 30 in the clip, bitch, we in it, eh. My little brother got a 50, try get busy, yeah. Ain't with the diss, and I'ma pull up, try get jiggy, yeah.